This was definitely not your average bathroom break. A 40-year-old single mom and a ridiculously famous young singer somehow crossed paths in a very weird restroom situation.
I'm too old for you.
No, you're not.
I could be your mother,
You're not.
but I could be.
You're not.
With just one look, the boy was completely stunned by Solene's beauty. Too bad she was too focused on not peeing her pants to notice she'd just walked in on a pop idol. Just a few hours earlier, Solene had bravely volunteered to escort her daughter Izzy and her squad of teenage chaos to a music festival. Predictably, as soon as they got there, Izzy ditched her like a hot potato, left wandering in a sea of glitter and screaming teens. Solene went off in search of a quiet spot, and maybe a place to sit that wasn't covered in mystery sludge. That's when the real MVP of the story made his entrance. Turns out, the band August Moon, who apparently make teenage girls scream louder than fire alarms, were headlining the festival. Solene, however, couldn't care less. She followed someone's vague finger point toward what she thought was a public restroom. It wasn't. It was the band's dressing room. Oops. Her bladder had just broken into celebrity territory. When Solene finally realized what she'd done, she was mortified. She apologized to the handsome stranger, Hayes, without knowing who he was. She just wanted to vanish, preferably into the floor, but then Hayes called after her. Not because he needed security, surprisingly, but because he was intrigued. She tried to politely leave again, saying she couldn't stay long, mom life, designated driver, the usual. Hayes smiled and asked if she was a fan. Honestly, a better question would have been, "Are you single?" But okay. Solene found the situation so awkward, it was almost funny. Then Hayes' manager Jody walked in like a storm, yelling at him to get changed for the show. Just as Solene turned to go, she caught a glimpse of Hayes with his shirt half off. Perfect abs, unfair waistline, like a Calvin Klein ad come to life. Then Jody popped back in like an angry babysitter and ruined the view. Solene made her escape. She had no clue that this gorgeous young man, who was basically still on his mom's health insurance, was about to turn her life upside down. Later that night, the concert kicked off. At first, it was the usual flashy boy band chaos. But then, plot twist, Hayes changed the setlist mid-show, just for her. Every song felt like it was dripping in romantic innuendo. Solene couldn't believe it. A 20-something heartthrob was serenading her in front of thousands. But she wasn't some naive teenager. She was 40. Her hormones might still work, but her common sense wasn't dead either. Back at work the next day, Solene was back to her normal routine, until Hayes showed up at her art gallery like it was totally normal. He claimed he wanted to buy art. Lots of art. Solene, ever the professional, gave him the full tour. But when he started buying things like he was playing Monopoly, she figured it out. He wasn't here for the paintings. Even after emptying half the store, Hayes wasn't done. He practically climbed into her car like an overgrown puppy and insisted they go check out a warehouse. There, he finally dropped the act and told her the truth. He liked her. Like, really liked her. At first, Solene thought the concert stunt was just a random flirt. But now, looking into his deep, honest eyes, and yes, maybe still checking out the jawline, she wasn't so sure. She planned to take him to dinner, but once the screaming fans started showing up like mosquitoes, she took him home instead. Less screaming, more privacy. Inside, Hayes noticed a photo on the wall and asked about her ex. Solene wasn't ready for that question. The betrayal still stung. Her ex-husband had done a number on her heart. Hayes, surprisingly sensitive for a guy who probably still says YOLO, listened and comforted her. They talked about everything: careers, families, dreams. The vibe was getting dangerously romantic. Then the phone rang. Classic timing. While Solene was distracted, Hayes casually walked over to the piano and started playing like a sexy Disney prince. When Solene walked over, he stopped playing, grabbed her hand, and boom, kiss. It wasn't just a little peck either. But just as things started heating up, Solene pulled away. Reality hit like a cold shower. She was terrified of getting hurt again, of falling for someone way younger, of her daughter finding out and calling her a cradle robber. Meanwhile, Hayes was all in. He adored her confidence, her warmth, her not having to use TikTok to express emotions energy. He left his watch behind on purpose, like a modern Cinderella, but with better skincare. Moments after he left, Izzy walked in. Solene panicked, fixed her hair, tried to act casual. But Izzy had that look on her face, the one that says, "Mom, what did you do?" Solene tried to deflect. But when she looked down and saw Hayes' watch still sitting there, she knew this wasn't over. One morning, Solene took Izzy to summer camp. For a long time, her world had revolved around her daughter. And now, she finally had a moment of peace. For Hayes, however, this moment of peace was the perfect opportunity. As expected, Hayes sent her a message. Each text was like a falling cherry blossom, carrying his thoughts and longing for Solene. A ripple of emotion spread through Solene. Her curiosity grew stronger, so she began searching for everything about this boy online. His graceful movements and confident smile completely captivated her. Gazing at Hayes' watch in her hand, an impulse surged within her. She decided to be reckless one more time. Using the excuse of returning his watch, she boarded a flight to New York. Though her initial intention was simply to return the watch, her meticulous outfit choice suggested otherwise, as if she were preparing for a grand and romantic date. Even the security guards were mesmerized by her beauty. Seeing the woman he adored standing before him, Hayes felt a wave of indescribable joy washing over him. That night, in the warmth of a hotel room, they shared a dreamlike, unforgettable moment together. But beautiful moments are always fleeting. Hayes was about to leave for his European tour, filling his heart with reluctance. Determined to have Solene by his side, Hayes made a bold decision. He invited her to join him on this journey. As Solene voiced her hesitations and concerns, Hayes patiently addressed each one. But then, she finally spoke her true thoughts. Seeing Hayes' unwavering determination, Solene no longer hesitated. She chose to let go of her fears and follow him on this journey. As Hayes' art consultant, Solene made her first public appearance alongside him. During their long travels, their eyes seemed to be invisibly linked by an unbreakable thread. And so, Hayes began a life of balancing work and love, embracing the sweetness of their romance. When night fell, they would raise their glasses and dream together about a happy future. But during an unexpected date, their intimate interactions were unknowingly captured by the paparazzi. Over the weekend, the band traveled to a peaceful retreat, hoping to relax and unwind. However, this getaway turned into their first true test as a couple. By the poolside, young women in bold swimsuits flaunted their beauty and energy. In contrast, Solene felt uncomfortable and out of place. She knew she could never compete with these young, stunning women, so she chose to dress more conservatively, keeping a low profile. Yet, this very choice made her stand out in the crowd. As conversations grew more intense, the younger women made snide remarks, implying that Solene was an older woman preying on a younger man. But when the topic shifted to how she and Hayes first met, an unexpected truth came to light. A wave of awkwardness washed over Solene. She had believed that the song Hayes performed that night was a personal confession meant solely for her. But the reality was far different. Feeling humiliated and hurt, she abruptly left the gathering and returned to her room. Hayes quickly followed. He admitted the truth, but also poured his heart out, expressing his genuine love for her. From the moment he visited her gallery to buy decorations, he had already fallen deeply in love with her. But no matter how much Hayes explained, Solene refused to listen. She no longer believed in sweet words. Her heart ached with disappointment. But with tears in his eyes, Hayes pleaded. Yet, things had reached a breaking point. There was no room left for reconciliation. And so, they said goodbye. Solene quietly placed Hayes' watch on the table, symbolizing the severance of their connection. However, when she returned home, an unexpected gift was waiting for her. It was her favorite painting. She recalled mentioning it only once in the warehouse, yet Hayes had remembered and secretly purchased it for her. Staring at the painting, conflicting emotions flooded her heart. A few days later, on an early morning, Solene was awakened by a text message. In the message, Hayes warned her to stay away from the internet, which immediately sparked her curiosity. Despite her hesitation, she couldn't resist checking online. As expected, her once peaceful life had been completely disrupted. On the way to pick up her daughter, strangers even approached her to take photos, leaving her feeling frustrated and angry. Faced with Izzy's questions, Solene openly admitted to the relationship. But as mother and daughter share an unbreakable bond, Izzy couldn't ignore the online criticism and attacks directed at her mother. It made her deeply uncomfortable, until she heard about Solene and Hayes' breakup. Her daughter's words deeply touched Solene. Meanwhile, Hayes was doing his usual rehearsals, singing, dancing, probably sweating attractively, when bam, drama entered stage left. The next morning, the sun was shining, the birds were singing, and for the first time ever, Solene and Hayes decided, you know what? Let's go public. No hiding, no disguises, no pretending she was his cool aunt. They went for a morning run. Yes, like one of those fit couples on Instagram. But peace didn't last long. Suddenly, plot twist. Solene's ex-husband Daniel showed up out of nowhere, fresh off his second divorce and clearly not doing great. When he saw Solene happy, glowing and jogging with a rock star, his ego cracked like a dropped iPhone. Hayes was ready to throw some verbal punches, but Solene beat him to it. Daniel gave her the classic "you're embarrassing yourself" speech, because nothing screams maturity like judging your ex for moving on. The paparazzi didn't let up. In fact, things got worse. The gossip was non-stop. Her art gallery took a hit, and eventually, Solene had to close shop. But the ugliest part? The internet trolls went after her daughter, Izzy. The poor girl couldn't even go to school without people whispering about her mom's love life. So heartbroken and overwhelmed, Izzy moved in with her dad. For Solene, her daughter had always been her #1 priority. She could deal with public shaming, she could deal with losing work, but losing her daughter? That hit different. After a long, emotional tug-of-war with herself, Solene made the hardest decision. She let Hayes go. Hayes didn't argue. He got it. He didn't want to be the reason her world fell apart. So like a gentleman, and maybe a little like a heartbroken puppy, he left quietly. Before he walked out, he kissed her. One last, deep, emotional kiss. Then he dropped the bombshell. He wanted her to wait 5 years. He figured by then, his fame would die down, and he'd be downgraded to that guy who used to be in a band. And just like last time, he left his watch behind. Only now, it wasn't just a flirty move, it was a promise. Time flew by. Like, really flew. 5 years passed. The internet forgot about the scandal, as the internet always does. And Solene and Izzy got their peaceful life back. No more paparazzi. No more drama. But Hayes? Not a single text. No calls. No emails. Not even a "you up?" Solene tried to move on, but she couldn't. She followed his every performance, cried during his interviews like a teenager at a Taylor Swift concert, and wondered, had he forgotten her? Then one day, while she was mid-emotional spiral and probably eating something straight out of the fridge, she looked up and froze. She saw him, because in love, real love, age doesn't matter. Maybe love isn't picture perfect. Maybe it's messy, risky, and full of complications. But if it's real, it's worth every second. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos where age gaps, emotional damage, and unexpected romance collide. See you in the next one.